Mom and Dad, I wanna thank you for answering my message and getting here in time for dinner, especially you, Dad. I know it must have been hard. No kidding. Both Mom and Dad looked at me in confusion while Grandma giggled. Grandma and I ordered pizza. Please sit down and eat while I talk. Grandma also made each of you your favorite cocktail at 15 years old. I don't drink alcohol yet. I've only had a few sips and haven't developed a taste for alcohol yet. I think you'll need it by the time I'm done. Thank you, Grandma. Now let's start with you, Mom, you lying selfish whore. You go to your room right now, Tina. Mom flared up, but Grandma shut her up. Sit there and huff before I slap you. Tina said it right, you're a lying selfish whore. And Roger, you two just sit there and listen. You're no angel either. Thank you, Grandma. Yeah. I can't pinpoint the exact day you turned into a cheating selfish whore. I started noticing the change about 4 months ago. Rather, I noticed the change when Mr. Wilson was. I'll say this for you, dear, when Mr. Wilson was sleeping with you. Thank you, Grandma. Like I said, I'm not sure when it started, but Mr. Wilson flirted with you for months. All the neighbors saw it. Eventually, you gave in. And you, Dad, do you know what a cuckold is? I didn't understand it until Grandma explained it to me. It's a man who just sits on his ass and does nothing while his wife sleeps with another man. Thank you, Grandma. Mom and Mr. Wilson may or may not have already started. You didn't know for sure yet. But you must have seen what was going on and did nothing about it, you miserable coward. So back to Mom and Mr. Wilson. 4 months ago, my extracurricular times changed as I told you, but I don't think you took it to heart because Tina, today you can just say whatever you like and no one will take offense or look at you ask you because of the language you use. Heck, your parents used it a fair amount. Mom and Dad looked at each other. Thank you, Grandma. Like I said, I guess Mom wasn't listening to me because she was more focused on Mr. Wilson. And, Mom, in my 15 years, I've never heard anyone swear as much as you did. Grandma, do you remember how many times I told you that Mom said, take me, it doesn't really matter, Tina? We have her words on video of what it was like before 10 cheating, and it ended with a long fuck. Thank you, Grandma. Yes, Mom, I have video surveillance installed all over my house, and you owe Grandma and Grandpa $2,500 for it. They'll take cash or check. It was a little expensive because it also comes with some cameras in your office, Dad, and Grandpa won't fire you because you're a good lawyer and Mom was the first one to make this whole mess. But if you continue to have your secretary, Grandpa will no longer tolerate you sleeping with her in the office. The whole staff can see what's going on. Grandpa said something about no fraternization, about the no fraternization policy. Thank you, Grandma. Now Mom was looking at Dad with a surprised how could you cheat on me? Look on her face. Right, Mom? You're gonna look at Daddy like he did something wrong by having sex with his secretary. And Dad, you know, Mr. Wilson is a jerk, but at least Mom stood up for you even though she kept sleeping with him. So, Dad, you're crazy by choice, but still crazy. At least you found someone on the side too, I guess. Ease the pain of what you knew was going on. I cried a little, but Grandma was there for me. You're doing fine, dear. Be strong. Thank you, Grandma. Excuse me. And now I have envelopes for you. You'll find some interesting pictures, and I've also put some flash drives. Dad, the file is called Cheating Selfish Whore. And, Mom, your file is called, Maybe He's Not a Jerk. Feel free to look at these at your leisure. Grandma and I have seen them before. Besides, I was shocked to watch both of you, but Grandma assured me that in time, I would become more comfortable with my own and other people's sexuality and that your creepiest performances, Mom, were acceptable displays of passion. I love and trust Grandma, so I will harbor no animosity or disgust for you or your partners if you decide to divorce and continue to date other people. Mom, if you decide Mr. Wilson is right for you, he'll be available soon. I sent his wife a copy of the photos and that flash drive Dad has. You'll be able to get an apartment together." Grandma giggled. "How could you?" Mom couldn't help herself. Grandma stood up and slapped Mom in the face. "I told you to sit here and shut up, or I'll slap you again. You hear me?" "I'm sorry, Mom, I guess I deserved it." "At least you're coming to your senses," Grandma said. "Come on, Grandma, you can take it from here. The rest of this is a little confusing to me, now let's get on with it," said Grandma. "A cheating wife is a selfish whore and a cuckold husband." Grandma shifted her gaze from one to the other. "Tina's grandfather helped us draw up the divorce agreement. You'll find that everything is in order, and since you both make a good living, there will be no alimony or need to split each other's pensions. It's a 50-50 split. Of course, you have to sell this house as well as your home and the keys as part of property division. The two of you also have investments that we are not going to deal with. You two are adults and will determine the value of those assets on your own and split them 50-50. Now let's get to the most important part of your divorce. Each of you will contribute to your daughter by supporting the lifestyle she is used to: clothes, vacations, gourmet dinners, gifts here and there as you spoil her at $20,000 a year. Not only that, you will each pay me $2,000 a month in child support since Tina has decided to leave you and move in with her grandfather and me. In this divorce agreement, you will find a legally binding document that allows us to get full custody of Tina since you two are unfit parents. Tina is heartbroken over the way you two ignore each other and treat each other. Yes, frankly, you ignore Tina too. Kelly, you didn't even know that Tina's curricular activities have changed to being held during school hours. I pick up and drop off Tina every day, and she stays with us, and I only bring her to you after your buddy has done sleep with you. Tina didn't immediately tell us why she wanted me to pick her up from school. She was tired of coming home and hearing that Mr. Wilson has you, and you, Roger, promised to take Tina to the baseball field before dark and coach her to help her with pitching and hitting. You, Mr. I went to school on a baseball scholarship, slept with your secretary instead of being there for your daughter. Don't worry. Tina made the team after I paid a college student to help her. Do you two even know that your 15-year-old daughter plays on a college team as a starting pitcher? No. I don't think so. Well, it's all in the envelope. Tina's coming over tonight. Her things are packed, and none of you even noticed. Sort your lives out. We're not taking Tina away from you. Come back anytime you want and look. Here's her softball schedule. Grandma and I grabbed our bags. I kissed Mom and Dad goodbye, and they just sat there stunned at what had just happened. Now would be a good time to drink what I made for you and think about the life you two ruined for a big cock and some young pussy instead of just talking to each other, Grandma said as we turned and walked away. Epilogue: Mrs. Wilson divorced her cheating husband. He had more than just Mom. Grandma said Mrs. Wilson took him to the dry cleaners. Mrs. Wilson worked in an office and she wasn't home during the day. That's why it was so easy for Mom and Mr. Wilson, who both worked from home, to get together, to sleep together, and for Mr. Wilson to go and screw other married women besides. Daddy made Mommy get tested for sexually transmitted diseases, and Mommy made Daddy do the same. It was a kind of argument. A mutual confrontation. You think a beautiful 26-year-old woman just sleeps with you, her 45-year-old boss, she's sleeping with you for a year-end bonus. Go get tested for sexually transmitted diseases too. My mom yelled. After all, my dad wasn't a patsy. Dad knew that Mom wasn't happy with him and that she eventually gave in to Mr. Wilson. Daddy never said anything to Mommy because he hoped that Mommy would end it on her own without Daddy having to get involved. Well, Mommy was expecting Daddy to step in, be a man as she put it, and stop it. They're both so crazy. Dad waited a while for Mom to confess and apologize, but she didn't. So Dad, knowing that his secretary would have no problem accepting advances, maybe Mom was right and his secretary wanted the bonus, decided to flirt with her. My 45-year-old dad has his 26-year-old secretary. Go, Dad. Mom and Dad had other marital problems that couples face as their life together continues. They still see a marriage counselor, and my grandmother took me to several family sessions. I lived with my grandparents for 6 months. I saw my mom and dad every day. They were at every school event, especially the softball games. We spent birthdays and holidays as a family, but I always went back to Grandma's house even though Mom and Dad tried to talk me into going back to their house. Grandma said that Mom and Dad still fought a lot, but somehow they worked things out. But until they worked it out, Grandma wouldn't let them take me back. Like I said, I lived with my grandparents for 6 months, but now I'm back home, which was probably a mistake. All Mom and Dad do is fight all fucking night long.